Alright guys, HyDra again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Scump has taken matters into his own hands and leaked something of Shotzzy's after all the times over the last couple of seasons Shotzzy has leaked something that he shouldn't exactly have said regarding OpTic or its players. Was this a calculated piece of revenge by Scump? Was it accidental, as he seems to pretend? Very much interested in your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. First, just to note, if you guys are local to Boston, there is a meet and greet and watch party for the Overwatch League. To be honest, I don't even know the OWL was still going on. I thought they'd canned it, or they were going to tell the teams, like, we'll pay you some money and we could just call it a day here, basically. But no, apparently Uprising versus Defiant is going on this coming Sunday, the 16th, I thought, or Saturday, sorry, the 16th, actually on the same day as the World Series of Warzone Finals. We'll get onto that in a second, because a bit of drama going on there. But they're also doing a Boston team meet and greet. Not sure if Slasher can make it. I think, or maybe on his Twitter he said something about it. But Priestahh, Snoopy's going to be there, and some others. So, yeah, pretty cool stuff. You guys are local. Just thought I'd mention it. Now, speaking of the World Series of Warzone, the finals is also this coming Saturday. And there's some drama here going on with regard to the sniper rifle, the Signal 50, right? It's a very good one. And it's used widely in competitive Warzone play. Now, you can say, oh, you know, Warzone pros, competitive Warzone doesn't really exist. And you might be fair enough. But still, there's a lot of money on the line this upcoming weekend. Some of the, well, at least former COD pros, the likes of, you know, Tommy and Crowder, of course, who's the coach of FaZe right now, are going to be there trying to win the whole thing. So that's pretty good stuff. Now, a lot of players want the Signal 50 to be gone. They're advocating for it to be banned. However, the admins, as it stands, have decided to keep it in. Hey everyone, there will be no additional restrictions before the global final in a few days. Settings will retain parity with the in-game ranked settings. We hear your concerns and have spent time discussing it internally. However, to maintain competitive integrity with only a few days before the event, we will not be introducing a major meta change. This will continue to be a process. So, interesting stuff, and probably the correct decision, to be honest, when you've got people calling for a ban to something that is, you know, integral to the way the game is presently played just a few days before. It's probably not the best. In the same way that there's been plenty of times in COD history where there's been a COD event on at a weekend and the devs do a major balancing change right before the event begins, or in the worst case scenario, during the event. I've told this story a couple of times. If you guys have only been around the last couple of years, you might not remember, but Infinite Warfare, I forget exactly which event it was. It was one of the early ones. It might have been the Paris event, something like that anyway. The uplink was a game mode back then, and throwback uplink, there was that was a map, and there was uplink portals on the map, of course, as you might expect. Now, for some reason, they did a patch update on like Friday night, which changed the positioning of the uplink portals. They didn't even tell anyone this. It didn't even say in the patch notes. They just decided they wanted to move this uplink portal slightly further to the right. So the pros turned up to the venue on Saturday morning and were trying to hit their ones. You know, there was a particular one lineup you could do for that portal. All of a sudden, it wasn't working anymore. Pros were like, what's going on? Why am I keep missing this one? Turns out they'd moved the portal overnight. So, you know, that's a complete Infinity Ward classic right there. But, you know, better that ideally, when there's an event on, you don't really change too many things before and especially during the event. So the admins have control in this case, whether they do that. Now, it doesn't necessarily prevent, you know, it getting nerfed. I mean, theoretically, in the next, like, couple of days, they could nerf it. But you would think the devs know there's these big finals coming up. They should probably just leave the game as it is, even if a lot of people, you know, aren't happy with the way that it's currently looking. So, yeah, as they go on to say, we are aware of the concerns surrounding the Signal 50 in Warzone. Our data doesn't suggest it's out of the normal range in its performance. Its experiential impact for players is equally important, though. At this time, we don't feel like changes are necessary. So, seems like they're going to keep things as is. And as Crone then says, well, you know, is it time for the old reliable gentleman's agreement to come out into play? JKL says, like, you know, they can't even GA the cheat engines, right? So, there's no way they're going to come up with this. And the issue is in terms of doing a gentleman's agreement. In the CDL, you've got, you know, 48 players, but a lot of the time, you just have to get most of the team captains on board. That's generally the way it's done. That, you know, you get all 12 team, or let's say GA representatives in a group chat, and between them, they have a chat about what's going on. Some players want to ban this gun, some players don't. But if like 9 of the 12 agree that it should be gone, then it gets gone. And the other 3 pretty much have to agree to it, or nobody's going to practice against them. In Warzone, you've got a slightly different story, because you've got about 150 players that are turning up to this thing. You want all of them to agree to not use this sniper rifle and to use another one instead. that seems unlikely, right? So gentlemen's agreements work in the CDL because, you know, the players are inclined to agree with them, even if they're not necessarily aligned with what people do in challenges, or even if the GAs are straight up stupid, which has definitely been the case with the pros in the past. But yeah, so Jukies and others are trying to see if they can get the players to like GA this weapon so people refuse to use it. But what's to stop someone in that case dropping into the final lobby of the day, trying to get the dub and just using the best sniper? Like, I don't think there's anywhere they're going to be able to pull this off from a gentleman's agreement perspective, or from, well, clearly the rules aren't changing as it stands. So that's your update with that one. Always some drama going on. I thought this was kind of relevant actually because I was just discussing that, you know, 2017, it might have been ESWC, it might have been another event to be honest, but in 2016, you guys might remember as well, that Pamaj, like, coach the OpTic Dynasty. I'm pretty sure they got Big Timer to do it for the OpTic Halo team at some point, didn't they? So yeah, good times. And it was fun when you used to be able to have coaches on the stage, because the OpTic Dynasty never had a coach. They never frankly needed one. But sometimes, you know, getting a guy like Pamaj to stand behind them and just call out, I think probably his whole job was to say 20 seconds, you know, like when the rotation is happening, just say 20 seconds left, just think about the rotation, not say anything crazy, and just let them play their game. And of course they won the event. So, you know, Pamaj, head coach dub right there. And I do wonder whether there could be a return at some point of coaches on the main stage speaking to players as it goes. There's always a big debate about this because some would say that that's good. There should actually be a better role for the coaches. Some would say that it actually reduces the skill gap because the coach can just communicate for one of the players or for all of the players, and reduces the skill gap on the team in some sense. So there's a bit of a debate on that. We'll see how it goes. But Shotzzy has been leaking a lot of stuff over his career as a leaker and also as a COD player on the side, it seems. A lot of the stuff has been to do with players and OpTic, and some of the stuff, of course, adjacent to what Scump is up to. Now, he's actually the only person that has leaked that iLLeY's no longer an OpTic. Now, we know iLLeY's not an OpTic anymore. Like, that is very clear. They have their new team for the new season. iLLeY isn't there anymore, and iLLeY's going to Surge. But I'm going to keep mentioning this until OpTic do anything about it, because I still can't believe that OpTic haven't said anything. And, you know, I keep checking and I'm like, no, they haven't said anything yet. The only time that OpTic have said something goodbye to iLLeY was in 2022 when they made all those mad roster changes. They dropped him. He said, see you next year in the replies. And actually, he did see them next year, but about 2 days later, because they brought him back and they ran it back with the team. But once they dropped him in like February, March, whatever it was, and alongside Rambo, they haven't said goodbye to iLLeY again. They have said goodbye to Rambo, though. They've said goodbye to Rambo, not to iLLeY. And it actually took this clip from Shotzzy in June to say, yeah, iLLeY's not here anymore, right? But no one has actually said anything. So I don't know if, like, Seattle have to announce it at some point, and you'd think at that point OpTic would say, you know, thanks for your service, iLLeY. But maybe it's, I don't really know what's going on. Maybe they just forgot, you know, I'll give them benefit of the doubt. But Leakzzy's been talking about plenty of stuff over time, leaking Warzone players that are coming in, leaking all sorts of stuff that's happened over the last couple of years. And at times, I'm pretty sure, was it not January this year when OpTic were going through the roster troubles, where they basically locked him in a room? Okay, didn't lock him in a room, but they basically said, look, Shotzzy, you can't stream. You're not allowed to, because if you do, something's going to get leaked and we're not going to be liking it. So it almost felt like Scump was getting a little bit of revenge on this, because he even leaked to one of the teams for the COD King events just the other day by talking about one of Shotzy's upcoming kind of partnerships he's doing or collaborations. He also responds in a pretty funny way to the Dreamfire drama we saw the other day, but he's like, look, Shotzzy, he's got this nice collab coming up with this guy. Do you guys know about it yet? And the chat's like, no. And then Scump feels a little bit bad, but it almost felt calculated to me.
All of OpTic's at war on Twitter, and we're loving it.
Oh, I'm looking at my replies right now to my tweet, and it's insane.
We are loving it.
It's insane.
Thank you both so much.
Oh my god.
Information in our halftime analysis presented by PlayStation.
Dude, it's insane.
What a hilarious turn of this, man.
In terms of points, Lauren, I'm looking at you because I think
this is what I tweeted, and they're not liking it.
One of the teams you picked jump up into the series results, and I want to bring them to your attention right
They're not
now.
liking it.
To see them on the screen, OpTic Gaming obviously a...
So, have you guys heard about Shotzy's thing that he's doing with Nicewig? Have you guys heard about that? I'm just curious. I gotta feel the room out here. No? Oh, shit. Okay. Well, I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about it then. Okay, well, hopefully I was allowed to say that, but just wait till tomorrow. Just wait till tomorrow. That's all I'm saying. Now I feel like I'm in trouble. Yo, first 5 subs.
So do you think that was a calculated thing there by Scump? Because it didn't seem like it was particularly... If he was really trying not to leak this, then he probably would have not said it in the way that he did. But, you know, whatever. Getting his own back on Shotzzy for some of the things that have happened over the last couple of years. This is the Nice Rig fellow as well. It's not like a company or anything. Like, that was my first thought. But no, Nice Rig, content creator for 100 Thieves. And he's been doing watch parties and great stuff on the Apex Legends side. And this, I believe, was then talked about yesterday. 2 worlds collide for Dan Gaskin between so Nice Rig versus Shotzzy. They're doing like a challenges challenge thing which is going on tonight on Apex Legends. So yeah, pretty entertaining stuff. I guess that was what Scump was talking about, and it's not exactly the biggest deal in the world, but nonetheless, Scump may be getting his own back just a little bit for that one. Just before we close out the video, I wanted to mention a couple of things for you guys. This I found really difficult, and I think for good reason, just because there's so many players that could fit the bill of these kind of numbers. But yeah, guess the player from their KDs. This is their entire CDL career KDs, hardpoint, search, and control. Hardpoint search just above even, control just below even. Now, it's clarified this is not the silhouette of the player, so it could be anyone, because usually that's a bit of a giveaway on stuff like this. My initial thought was a player maybe in like Kenny's position, because often players like Kenny have KD such as this, slightly over a 1, but I thought that Kenny's KD, I may just be making this up, but I thought it would be better in control, and I think it probably is. Another player I did think of was Standy, and it turns out Standy, I believe, is the correct answer for this. If you guys guessed Standy when you saw either the picture, which I don't think is him, but still, all these numbers, then I think you are bang on the money on that one. Also, this on HyDra's side, because some pretty crazy numbers, really. This is not just on his team, but this is in the entire league. HyDra had the most kills in every game mode, which, okay, maybe you say it's not a massive surprise because they did make a lot of finals in New York, they won a lot of events, and HyDra was their best player. But, I mean, still, even to do this over any of the FaZe players, because usually the FaZe players make it so deep in tournaments, they're always getting the most kills and stuff like that. But, you know, yeah, HyDra, number 1 in hardpoint, 2,133 kills. I think number 2 in hardpoint was maybe Kismet, and I think number 2 in search was aBeZy. I'm not sure about the control one, because I looked through the replies and Lyman was responding to people, but I'm not exactly sure right now. But still kind of crazy stuff. But very much intrigued to your perspective on all this stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.